Hello everyone and welcome to Bath Garden Center. My name is Em and today we are going to talk about closed terrariums. If you caught our video last week, we talked about open terrariums and how to care for them. And if you missed that video, you can find that link above. The main difference with open and closed terrariums is going to be the type of container that you use and the type of plants that you're going to put in that container. With terrariums, you can use a variety of things for closed containers, whether that be like a small aquarium that is completely closed in, or even a mason jar. You can use so many things as long as it's closed and you can hold in that moisture, then you have a closed terrarium. Moisture-loving plants are wonderful for closed containers. And when creating your closed containers, we always recommend adding a drainage layer at the bottom. So like with this container here, we have added some pumice at the bottom, and we have just topped it with some regular potting mix and used a nice variety of tropicals and ferns that love moisture in this container. And there are a few different things that you can add as your top layer for your terrarium. And even though we have potting mix here, you can also use sphagnum moss or coco coir. A fun tip that we have is if you would like to keep some of your moisture sensitive roots from your plants away from that saturated drainage layer at the bottom, you can add a coffee filter in between your pumice and whatever you're using as your top layer to help give that barrier. Another great tip is you can add a little bit of charcoal to your pumice layer at the bottom to help keep that water in your terrarium purified. Watering your terrariums is pretty easy and you don't have to do it very often, especially because it's closed. So these guys might only require one watering every 1 to 3 months. You'll know if you don't need to water your terrarium if you're seeing a little bit of condensation down here in the drainage layer still, or if you're seeing any condensation around the top of your terrarium as well. That means it still has enough moisture and it's good to go. If you notice condensation building up inside your terrarium, that could be a sign of too much moisture, so go ahead and open up the lid for a couple of hours and let it air out. That condensation we don't want around your leaves, so it is best to let them air out, and it's okay if there's a little bit of buildup in your drainage layer and in your soil. There's enough moisture there and you don't need to water. If you have it near direct sunlight, it's really going to warm up the inside of your terrarium and it's going to possibly scorch your plants as well. So keep it indirectly lit and it'll also keep it still nice and warm. And as far as maintaining your terrarium, if your plants are starting to go a little bit too big and maybe touching the sides of that terrarium, you can give them a little trim back. And you also want to make sure that you're picking up any dead leaves around that top layer as well, because we don't want any mold or moisture to build up in those areas. And if you want to go the extra mile with your terrariums, you can get a little cleanup crew for them, like isopods and springtails, because they will eat these dead plants for you and also produce fertilizer as well. If you're thinking about fertilizing your terrariums, some substrates will require fertilizing more than others. And if you're using sphagnum moss or coco coir, those substrates will require some bi-weekly fertilizing. But with potting mix, if it's already coming with a lot of the nutrients right within that mix, you should be good to go and you don't have to fertilize as often. And don't be afraid to have fun with your terrariums. In here we have a bromeliad, a calathea, even a small little heartleaf philodendron. And you can do so many different varieties of plants, as well as fun decorative rocks in here as well. So enjoy your time making your terrarium, or come on down to Bath and see what kind of terrariums we have here for you to go home with. And we hope you have an awesome day. Top of the link. I'm going to start adding water to your terrarium. That was coming out. And watering your terrariums, no, wait, can we start that again? You see that it's really been a little bit more sphagnum moss or, dang it, that was going really well. And though they